All right, everybody, welcome back. Today on the podcast, I have Jim, and Jim has his own building and remodeling company. So, Jim, welcome.
Thanks. Good to be here.
So, usually in the beginning, to warm things up, I ask guests to tell a little bit more about themselves, but more so from when you were younger, like when you were in high school or middle school. Who were you like back then?
Oh, wow. I was the band geek back then. Grew up playing trombone, went through high school, decided I was better at music than I was at sports. Went to college playing music, went on a scholarship to Florida State. And so I came out of school as a band director. So that's the guy I was. I had nothing to do with construction then, but realized pretty early on that all that applied later in life.
Yeah. So, and for myself, I have some experience living life as well. So, like, I know we do sometimes one thing, and we think we'll never use it again in the future. And we end up in some other career or industry and still utilize the skills or the know-how of that other thing.
Oh, yeah.
So how, you just like playing instrument, how did you get into the band?
Oh, yeah, great question. I grew up in a musical family, so music was a part of just growing up. My mom played the piano, we all sang in the choir. And I just found it was something that I enjoyed doing. I started in fourth grade, playing trombone, and I just found that was a great community. It was a great way to go through school. Good people hung out in the band. It was kind of it is a sport because you're all working together for a goal. You're all working on your own skill, your own position, playing together for a common goal. And I just loved it, especially going into Florida State. It was a great way to go through college. I go into all the bowl games. That was when Florida State was really good. So we went to 4 bowl games and got to see a lot of football games.
So were you on the field, like in the band?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. What was that experience like?
Oh, I loved it. Yeah, I loved it. It was so much fun. We had a band of about 425 people at Florida State, and being in the trombone section of 42 trombones was amazing. Huge sound, a lot of hard work. We practiced every day from 4 to 6. But the reward was really sweet. Just the excitement of coming together to do something and traveling and being at the football games, a lot of energy. A lot of fulfillment in that.
Yeah. Did you grow up in Florida, or did you move to Florida for school?
Yeah, my whole life I grew up in Orlando, Florida. A little bit in South Florida. Then we moved to Orlando when I was really young. And then went away to North Florida for school, and then went back and taught in Central Florida as a band director, middle school band director, for about 6 years.
Okay. Have you lived through a bunch of hurricanes there?
Oh, yeah. I was so ready to get out of Florida. Yeah, so I was, once I left teaching, I worked for a couple other contractors, and our whole lives revolved around hurricanes. Even if we weren't insurance company, insurance remodeler. When the hurricanes came, all business pointed to that. So we were tarping roofs, we were, doing damage control, things like that. And personally, that wore me out. Like 2004, we had 4 hurricanes come across the state, and my own house I had boarded up for a month and a half because the hurricanes just kept coming. And I was like, honey, I'm not taking the boards off. I'm sorry, I'm not going to put them back up again. We had one of our children was born during one of the hurricanes, so we had an infant with no power and no AC, and it was miserable. So I was not sad to leave Florida and come to the Carolinas for sure.
Yeah. Did you have like relatives here? How did you decide to come?
Yeah, great question. My in-laws retired here. My wife was from Mobile, and my father-in-law spent his career in the Mobile area. And when they retired, they wanted to move to the Carolinas, and he started consulting in Charlotte, and they didn't want to live in Charlotte, like you crazy people. So he lived in Rock Hill. And so early on, 8 years ago, when we were still teachers, we'd come up and visit, and at summer and Christmas, and we just really grew to love Rock Hill and the Carolinas. And so when I decided to do my own thing, stop working for other people because I knew best. I could do it better than everybody else. We decided to move and be near them. And it's been a great move. We've been here for 15 years, and we love being in the Carolinas.
Mm-hmm. So how did you start your own business, basically? Like, you mentioned you wanted to kind of work for yourself.
Yeah.
What was that transition like? What was the mindset like back then of starting your own company?
Yeah, it was, well, it was definitely full of pride. I'll say, I joked a little bit that I thought I could do it better than everybody else. And that was a real driver. I felt like there were things that I saw that were done poorly with other companies that I felt like, gosh, I could do that better. But there was also an element of, I want to manage and lead people in a different way. Mm-hmm. There was also several mentors in my life that modeled well how to lead people. And so I thought, let me do that on my own. So we moved up here, had saved what we could to make the move. I worked for a company actually here in the Stallings area for a year as I made the transition, and the owner of that business was very generous to give me a job, and he knew that I wouldn't be here for long. He knew I was pursuing my contractor's license. So that first year, I worked here in Charlotte, commuted from Rock Hill, studied for my builder's exam, got the builder's license, got my adjuster's license, and then just started doing stuff on my own. And after a year, I stepped out on my own, and I always say this, Jerry, I from that point on, the Lord has provided work nonstop. I've never had to look back and say, golly, what have I done? This is terrible. There's always another job, and I'm always grateful for that.
Yeah, that's great. But going back to when you started, like when you were thinking that you could do better than whoever you worked for before or others, what did you realize after starting, like how easy or how hard it was compared to what you thought it would be?
Oh, holy mackerel! It's much harder, much more difficult. Construction would be amazing if there weren't clients. That's always difficult, and we try and do our best with clients, the cranky clients we like to call them. Yeah. But yeah, it's much more difficult than I had ever imagined, and so I look back now, and that's why I say my pride had the better part of me way back when I was 30. Now, 25 years later, I'm looking back and saying, well, that's not the case. It's a lot more difficult. It's a lot more difficult to lead people, to make the payroll every week, to pay the subs. It's just, it's a much harder game than I thought it'd be.
Yeah, there's a saying that goes something like, you start something or you start a company not because it's easy, but because you thought it was going to be easy.
Yeah, that's fair. I would agree with that for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So how did you, like your company name is your last name Brothers. Do you have a brother that's working with you? Like what's that like?
Great question. We cover that on our website. I do have a brother. Scott's an amazing guy. Scott would not be in construction. Scott's older than I am. He's retired now. He and I would not work well together probably. So the brothers are actually my sons. I have 6 children. 4 of them are boys. And as I started the company, Ryerson Brothers sound a lot better than Ryerson and Sons, but we wanted our name on it. And so the hope was that at some point, some of the brothers, my sons, would join the company and hopefully, Lord willing, someday own it. So that was the goal. That's the reason for the name.
Okay. How old are they currently?
Oh, boy. That's a test. 27, 25, 23, and 17 are the boys.
Okay, so they're old enough to be involved. Are they involved in the company?
I have 2 that are in the company. One, Jesse, is my oldest son, and he leads all of our sales and estimating, which has been an amazing thing to have somebody else who knows what they're doing take care of that. Because before, you know how it goes. Yeah. You're the guy who does everything. So that's been a great change for a company. And then Isaac, my second son, has been a superintendent for me for about over 9 years. And in that, he stepped out to do plumbing for a couple of years, and now he's starting his own plumbing company, which helps us as a contractor, and we get to help him. And I'm just excited he's making that step. So, we've had 2 boys in the company. My third son was in the company. Now he's up in Cincinnati going to grad school.
Okay. What's he taking there?
Well, he went to UC for music. Music runs in the family. So he went to University of Cincinnati on a music scholarship. and now he's in Louisville in seminary, getting his seminary degree.
Okay.
Up there, yeah.
So not construction. He's
Not
gonna be a
construction,
pastor
no.
or some ministry.
Yeah, master ministry, yeah, masters of divinity. But his nickname was the Diesel. He was not built for speed, but he was built for torque. He can do about anything.
Nice. Okay, so you mentioned you're married and you have 6 children. So you have 2 daughters also.
Yeah.
They're younger, I assume.
Our oldest child is a daughter,
Okay.
and she's here locally in Charlotte. She and her husband. And my second to youngest child, Betsy, is at Winthrop.
Okay. And the older one's not involved in the
No,
business?
no. She's a local counselor.
Okay. Yeah. So what's it like having, well, by American standards, it's a bigger family. So I come from a family of 6 siblings as well.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, it's like,
Yeah, it's
that's
normal.
just how it is.
Yeah.
But what's it like in the American culture to raise a bigger family?
Well, we get a lot of looks. It's an oddity to have a lot of children. We also homeschool all our kids. So my wife did the yeoman's work to train them all and educate them all, and they've all succeeded, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of seen as being weird to have that many children. For us, it's been a joy. It's been hard work.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't trade it. I love the energy. I love having that just camaraderie in the house. Kids were either hugging or hitting all the time. But it's truly a blessing. It really is. But my wife would get the looks at the grocery store like, "Are all these your kids?" Yep. Yes, ma'am. Yep. So yeah, we just kind of rolled with it. We see it as a true joy.
What advice would you give somebody who's just getting married, or maybe just has the first child in the way, or just had one, as far as parenthood or parenting or
Oh golly,
family?
I'm not ready for that one. I may be older, but I'm not wise. Gosh, nugget of truth. It's hard to distill that down. I think just living with a lot of grace and a lot of laughter, grace with yourself to know that you're not perfect, to know that children are going to be okay despite your faults, and laughing a lot. You got to laugh at yourself. You got to laugh at. I think laughter in the home is a huge deal. We tried to have that as our kids were growing up.
Yeah, nice. How do you, like, when you say laughter, like just joking, or because there are families that there's laughter but there's sarcasm, which could be bad. I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, there's probably a bunch of sarcasm in our house. Yeah, I think just I think just having an attitude that's light, just not taking life too seriously. Like I said, music's a big part of my childhood, but also my current life. My wife was a choral director. I was a band director. All of our kids did something musically. So music's always in the house. So that's a great unifying thing. But yeah, just having fun, trying to have a good time, take life a little bit lighter than most people do.
Yeah, nice. What? So you have 2 sons that you currently have in the business. What's it like working with your sons?
Oh, I love it. I really do. It's fun to see them grow and be men and be responsible and in charge of their own realm, so to speak. I've got a great relationship with them in the company. There are times when, like the one son, Isaac's on the production side and Jesse's on the sales side. So it's neat to see them interact. Sometimes that's not easy. Production's always mad at sales. Sales always mad at production. That's just the way construction is. Right. But they handle that relationship really well. And even when there needs to be not difficult, but an honest conversation about, hey, I think we missed that, or when we can do this better, or let's try this. My sons, I think, know where I'm coming from. I've got a heart for them. I'm not out to get them. I'm their biggest champion. And so having that kind of foundation lets us work really well together. And I'm grateful for that. I love it. I really do.
Yeah, it's great to see families figure out a way to work together. Like, especially, I think, in my opinion, especially in business or whatever they choose to do. I don't know. That's my kind of dream, to bring the whole family in some ways, even if they do their own unique thing, but somehow unite everything.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the neat things about Isaac starting his plumbing company is I really want to see him succeed and step out. And he's already got his builder's license. He now has his plumbing license, and his company's set up, and he's launching, and he's busy, and we're feeding him work, and he's helping us on work, and I'm able to refer him to people, and I love that. I want to see him thrive. So yeah, it's fun to have that synergy in the company for sure.
It's definitely awesome. So when it comes back to your company, and you said you started it kind of thinking you could do better than others with leadership and so on, and you mentioned that you had some mentors that were mentoring at the time. Can you elaborate a little bit more on how you found those mentors and how were they mentoring you?
Yeah, great question. Well, I think as men, we all have to have a mentor. I think mentors are the way that we grow. Having somebody that's coaching us in life. As a Christian, it was important for me to align with guys that were older than I was, that were believers, that were speaking truth into my life and encouraging me and coaching me along. One of those men, Scotty McCurdy, the owner of a company in Florida, large company in the Southeast, actually. I taught his kids in my middle school, and that's how Scotty and I got to know each other. But Scotty, just a solid man of God who loved to laugh, loved to have fun. It still does. He's still alive. He just taught me to work hard. He taught me to laugh a lot. He taught me to say the hard things, but to say them with love. Because truth is truth. And if you can present it in a way that honors somebody, you don't have to apologize for that. He did that really well. Scotty also showed me how to just not give up, never give up, keep pressing, keep pushing. And I'm grateful for that. He was a wonderful role model, but not just a role model like, somebody I looked to. He coached, he was involved, he shepherded would be a term that I would use.
Okay. And do you have an opportunity now to do the same within the company, or like what's it like?
Yeah, I try and emulate that. I do it imperfectly, but I do. I guess one of my kind of life goals, and some of it goes back to when I was a teacher, just learning that everybody's got an important role. As a band director, that last year clarinet player is just as important as that first year flute player. So treating everybody with honor and respect has, at that early age, having to learn that, I've carried that through into construction to just, the shingle Sherpa on the ground, throwing the shingles into the dumpster is just as important as the guy doing the flashing and the detail work on the roof. And I want to treat him with respect. I want to go over and greet him when I'm on site. I try and do that with my employees. I try and honor them and treat them fairly. I want to love them well. I want the business to not feel like, I don't want it to feel like a business. I want people to be there and enjoy being there. We're all there for the same goal, which is to work hard and to do things well. For our company, we want to glorify God with our work. We want to do it with excellence and integrity. And so I try and exude that in the way that I talk and I encourage people. But man, I mess up every day. I fall short of that every single day. And I think being able to admit that is big too. Just to be able to say, I'm not perfect. I'm going to strive to be better, but this is who I am. And there's our goal. Let's all go at it, together.
Yeah. And I think that's like a fallacy that we as business owners sometimes have. We want to put on a nice front or a great front for our customers. Like, okay, we're the perfect company and that we can do everything perfectly and so on. In construction, there really is no perfection in that sense. Mm-hmm. There's always issues. There's always challenges. And I think it's more so letting the customer know that challenges will arise, but we will take care of them. They will not be left hanging with some issue or whatever. We'll come out and take care of whatever we're working on if there's an issue with
for
that
sure.
thing.
Yeah, when we meet with customers in our office we go through our proposals in person. We find that that's just much more efficient, and we like getting them in our office to talk through things. Invariably, I'll say, we're going to make you mad somehow. Something's not going to go right. We're going to make you upset, but we're very good at making you unupset. At the very end, you're going to look back and you'll be able to remember those things happened, but did we correct them? Did we finish well? It's all about finishing well for us.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's a great mentality to have. It's not how you start, it's how you finish.
Yeah. Yeah. Good.
So tell us a little bit more about your company. Like, what services do you offer? What kind of projects you work on?
Yeah. Thanks, Jerry. Well, we've been in business for 15 years. I'd love to say we're the premier residential remodeling company in Rock Hill. I do think we're an excellent company. There are also other excellent companies in Rock Hill, so we're not the premier one. My marketing people would say, no, you got to say that. We're a great company. And we're licensed in general contracting and residential contracting, so we can do commercial work. But honestly, my lane, my track is residential. I love residential. So we focus on remodeling, kitchens, bathrooms, basement build-outs, attic build-outs. We do additions. We've done some huge additions. We built new houses over the years, but we've found that we're very good at additions like sunrooms, 400 square feet or less of living space, and then anything interior. We love interior because it's not weather driven. But we don't, and this is part of the synergy in business, the things that you do, we don't do. So we love being able to say, you know what, we don't do that system. We don't do the Easy Breeze or whatever, the vinyl window. Here's a guy that can, and that's part of the joy of having people in the industry like that.
Yeah. What else do you? So you basically remodel, and you mentioned you built a couple of homes. What did you like about building a brand new home versus remodeling? What do you like more, and why?
We built 12 homes. We built them for the city of Rock Hill as part of their redevelopment program back in 2017, 2018. And the city was just taking land and making kind of starter homes for the community. I loved starting with nothing and building a home. That was really fun. I loved being a part of, through the city, the closing and bringing those people in and letting them experience that brand new house. That was really fun. Lots of things I didn't love about new construction. I don't need to list all those, but that experience taught me that the guys that do new homes are really to be honored. They know what they're doing. They've got the crews that know how to just jam from one house to the next. Our crews are much more finessed because we're working around people all the time. We're working around families. We're working around yards and kitchens and living spaces. And so we've got to be much more careful, much more strategic or surgical in the way that we do things. So I really have learned to respect new home builders. I just don't want to do it for a living.
I mean, you mentioned there are a couple negative things. Like it doesn't have to be like, you don't have to call out people or anything. But what are the things that you didn't like about?
What I would spin it and say what I learned was that I was not great at the getting out of the ground. All the zoning, all of the driveway easements, the getting electrical to it, getting the sewer away from it, getting all the infrastructure part of building those new homes was something we don't deal with all the time. So that was a huge learning curve for me. And that costs time. Time costs money. Time costs efficiency. Yeah. So those are, if we did that all the time, we'd become expert at it, but we don't. And so what I had to realize is that those types of things that it takes to actually start the footings and go up are the difficult things for me. Can we do them? Sure. Do we do them? Sure. It's not what we do great, though. So I think I just learned a higher respect for guys that are building new homes because they've got to go through so much just to get out of the ground.
Yeah. So it's like, would you classify that as like land development, or it's the step after land development?
I don't even know how all that works, Jerry. Land development, infrastructure, all that. We were already working on improved spaces, improved lots that were really ready to go. There was still some of that we had to deal with. Working with the city, that made it easier and more difficult in some ways. Kind of the city is my client and the one that's inspecting me, so that was a little bit odd. But I don't really know. I don't know the ins and outs of that. I mean, some of the additions we've done are just as big as new homes, but you're building onto an existing structure that's already an existing lot. It's already got existing easements. Yeah. That makes it a lot easier in some respects.
Mm-hmm. What would you say is the funnest, is that a word, project that you've worked on? The most fun you had on a project?
Golly, wish you had given me that question ahead of time so I could have thought about it. Two projects come to mind. One would be a huge addition we did out in Chester, and it was for a family that had a handicapped son. They lived in a very small, probably 1,000 square foot, maybe 800 square foot home, little 2-bedroom home, old country home. And they were consolidating mom's home, their home, and brother's home into one home. They all wanted to live together, and they wanted to make an ADA home for their son, Jordan, who's wheelchair bound and had some special needs. And so basically, because of the existing mortgage on that little house, they couldn't knock the house down and build the house that they wanted. So we had to basically build a house around the entire house. So only the front wall of that old house stayed, and then we built onto it. So we quadrupled the size of that house. And so that was fun in itself, just the building side of it. But the real joy was seeing how much that serves the family and the boy Jordan, and just how it changed their life. It really did. We didn't do anything special. It wasn't a super high-end house or lots of gadgets. It was just a house with a purpose and a plan, and a family, 3 generations that loved each other and wanted to be together. And that was really cool. The other one was when we did some commercial work, we worked for Westminster Towers for an extended period of time, and we helped them turn their rooms. We helped them turn residential rooms for new clients or residents that were moving from one stage to the next. And that was really fulfilling just to be a part of that. I really appreciate older saints, people who are older and wiser than I am. So just being a part of that in that kind of community was a neat project. And that went on for almost 2 years, year and a half, almost 2 years of just continual rooms that we helped them turn over and get ready for the next resident. And that was a great project.
Mm-hmm. And what kind of jobs kind of make your life tough?
Make my life tough. Oh boy.
That you don't like, that you'd rather not have had to do those
oh boy
jobs.
I don't know that there's every job I go into believing that we're going to do an excellent job, and we're going to do what the Lord brings us. We're going to, we pray for work comes, we do the work. I think challenges. So I don't think there's a type of job except for new home building.
Maybe an experience, like a job where you had a bad experience on.
I think it's just like customers would say, all contractors are blank. We sometimes have a bad rep, and I would challenge that reputation. I think any job that we've had a difficulty with has not been the job. It's been expectations of the customer. And I would say the easiest way to say that is unrealistic expectations, or expectations that are outside the 4 corners of the contract. And often I've had to say, truth and love, right? And honor. I've had to say, well, Mr. Smith, I understand what you're saying, and it may make sense. It may be even common sense that would be included, but it's not part of our 4 corners of the contract. And so I've got to tell you no. We can discuss how we're going to move on from here, but it's not here. So how do we move on? So I would say the challenges I've had over the 15 years have really just been with people, and I think that's life. I think we've all got to learn how to function with people, because we're all broken. We all make mistakes. So how do you do that as a contractor? That's just my job.
Yeah, and actually speaking of that, what are some skills or tactics or like how do you communicate with people when challenges arise?
That's a great one. I again, as a Christian, I I try and live as if, well, the Bible says, Philippians 2:3, do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit, but consider others better than yourself. With humility, consider others better than yourself. In hard circumstances, I've got to treat that person with a ton of respect. I've got to treat them with humility. I'm never gonna win the battle using force. A mentor early on in my life encouraged me to always think of judo, the soft way, instead of karate, the hard way. You know, if you think of the martial arts, karate is all about contact and hard movements. Judo is using somebody else's force, the soft way. And so in business, we just try and use the soft way. We try and treat people with respect and integrity, consider their requests and them as a person higher than myself, go into it with humility, not with pride. And I find it always works out. It doesn't always work out the way I want it, but it always works out.
Do you find that some customers take advantage of that?
Yeah, I do. And
how do you work through that?
Sometimes you got to die to that. Sometimes you just got to say, okay, you won. And sometimes I don't even tell them they won. I just say, okay, we'll do that. Because it's not, ultimately it's not just my name on the job. For me, it's the Lord's name. And so if I'm a jerk and I win that fight, what did that gain me? It lost me everything. It lost me my integrity. It lost me my name. So there's a lot of times you have to lose on purpose and just leave it on the field because there's another day coming. Just let it go.
Yeah. So when it comes to the industry, just remodeling in general, in your 15 years plus, how has it changed? Has it changed, and how has it changed, if it did?
It's definitely changed. I see a lot more. It's technology is really where I see it. Technology and innovation, and we've tried to keep up with that and do what we can to incorporate that in our spaces. A lot of that we don't do. A lot of that is really way out there. Some of the gadgets and some of the things that are being used in homes, but we want to keep up with the times where we're using environmentally conscious materials and smart houses and smart this, smart that. We want to be sensitive to that. I think that, I think that just the industry is growing more towards an awareness of how our industry affects the environment, affects the surroundings around us. And we want to, people make their requests of us selection-wise. We give them an allowance. They make their requests within that allowance. So we don't come to them with a package. This is what we recommend. So a lot of times we're stretched outside maybe our comfort zone to install this whole house whatever, or this great all universal plumbing fixture or whatever, fill in the blank. And so, sure, that's great. We'd love to do that. And we figure out how to do that and do it well and, give them what they want. The industry, living through COVID was an amazing time, amazingly stressful. I thought we were going to have to shut everything down. And actually, you and I were talking about it. It ended up being a great couple of years that I didn't expect. I mean, our business really grew then, totally unexpected. And I think that's correcting now. That was something that nobody saw coming. And thankfully, our industry thrived. I know other industries didn't because of that. So I don't know. I'm not. I told you before we started, I'm not the wise guy. So I can't say, this has all changed. And when I was doing it before, that's the best answer I got, Jerry.
What about in terms of like estimating or tools before the hard work, like before construction, before digging anything, like any kind of technology or tools that you use currently?
Yeah, we, so we've gone from kind of the pad and paper back 25 years ago to, I grew up in the insurance world, so Xactimate was a huge estimating program. That went through many, many modules and many changes. So I saw that change. That became much more efficient. When we started our company, everything was an Excel spreadsheet that I built, and then you have lots of things doing lots of things. And just recently, we've moved into using a program for our customer service module, for our contact, for tracking leads, for estimating, for sending out our proposals. And that's been amazing. And what that took was my son-in-law and one of the people in my company saying, there's a better way to do this. And me being the old guy was like, but my way works so much better. But through some weeping and gnashing of teeth, we turned the corner and we got the program in place, and we're still learning it. But that's been a huge help because all of our contacts in one spot, all of our estimating is in one spot, and it's easy to turn that estimate into a proposal quickly. So that's the thing that comes to mind. We're not a on the edge technology kind of company, but that's been a challenge for me. To be flexible enough to change and to maybe do it better, do it differently. But
you made the change, even though, like you were saying, you're not maybe technology minded in that sense or whatever. But
well, I built all the systems before, but no, there's so many better things than what I did, and I wanted to use my way. I know best, right, Jerry? Well, I don't. There's lots of better ways to do it.
How do you communicate with customers, or how do you keep them in the loop on time? In terms of like steps and increments and so on.
Yeah, we do it imperfectly. Text is a huge deal that I love and hate because it's really difficult to track text when you've got a staff of superintendents running jobs. We're big on communication, but what I tell our team is that anything you put in a text has to be documented in an email. So we want to have a date stamped record of what's going on your job. We want customers to have in writing what's going on in their job, even if it's bad news. We don't do that perfectly. So I like written communication. I like to document. Phone calls are better for those difficult conversations, and then usually follow up with an email to summarize, to kind of put a flag in the sand. And then I think the new program Builder Trend, I'll give a little plug for that. Is great at tracking all that. Any email that goes out, any text, any whatever goes right in that file. Any pictures, any documents are right there in their file. So we'll see. We're still learning that. We're pulling it in module by module so that I don't freak out and toss it all out the window. So trying to learn slowly.
Yeah. When it comes to your personal life, what do you do to stay healthy as far as nutrition and exercise?
I like to be active, work out 3 times a week, just go to the gym early. I found that early in the morning is the only time that I get to control. So I wake up early, go to the gym, but that means I go to bed probably at 9:30 or 10 at the latest. I don't eat great, but I don't eat meat and I don't eat dairy. I'll eat chicken and fish, but no red meat, no pork. And that's just because personally my body just functions better without that. And the dairy is a huge thing. So for me, that works. Everybody else has a different thing. Everybody asks, how can I live without bacon? And I just live without bacon. You know what? There's other things to eat. And also I think just finding blank space, margin in your life. I love to garden. I love to be outside. We live south of Rock Hill in Catawba, where we've got a little bit of space. So for me, I can do the exercising. I can eat pretty well. But if I don't detach and kind of get away and leave the phone inside and go dig in the dirt, I don't do well. I've got to have that time, that margin in my life, to be able to kind of recharge and refresh.
Yeah, speaking of margin, next question is more like work-life kind of balance. So you're the owner of the company. Most owners just work, right? Like it's your thing, so you want it to succeed. So what's it like for you? Like working in the business, on the business, and not working and detaching from it.
That's a great differential there, working on the business and in the business. That'd be worth a whole podcast, right?
Yeah.
I wish that I worked on the business more instead of in the business. I wish I were looking more at the global things than the day-to-day things. For me, work-life balance, it kind of ebbs and flows. 1 week is going to have different days and different nights. I am definitely not the workaholic. Hey, I'm going to be up till 10 writing estimates. For good or bad, I've realized early on that estimate's going to be there the next day. What I will do is let that customer know I can't get it to him today. I'm not going to just string them along. And now it's Jesse doing that, not me, which is great. But there are days or there are evenings when I do have to go home and have supper and then say, okay, honey, I got to go sit on the laptop for a little bit and get that done. I mean, there are times as an owner where you just got to get it done. You definitely don't get to clock out. And if you are not doing the work, for me at least, I'm always thinking about the work. It's hard to turn that off. That's been the most challenging thing as a business owner is bearing the weight of the company mentally and emotionally. Even when you're not working, my head is always working. And I wish I could turn that off better. I do, because I think that we all need to detach in some way just for our health. And I haven't figured out the key to that. I haven't. I struggle with that. I struggle with worry. I struggle with, anxiety and stress. So how do you fix that? I don't know. Maybe you can tell me if you've got any secrets.
I don't know. Have you taken any trips, like just, you can call it vacation, whatever, but just like trips where you detach, kind of like what you were saying about gardening, but like on a little bit longer period of time.
Yeah, and I found that little trips are better than, hey, I'm going to be gone for 2 weeks, because making up after 2 weeks is terrible. Yeah. So yeah, little weekend trips with the family or with Darcy, my wife, those are refreshing. Even, we come up to the big city of Charlotte sometimes and just spend the night up here and do the restaurant hop, and that's nice just to do something different. Yeah. So yeah, I would agree with you. It's nice to plan those for sure.
Yeah. What have you traveled the world much? And if so, where to?
We lived in France for 3 years. We were missionaries in France, Lyon, France, and loved it. It was a difficult time. I mean, the job assignment to say was difficult just because we were having to learn a new culture and a new people and a new language. But we loved being in Europe. We really did. We loved the European lifestyle of walk everywhere. The baker's there and the grocer's there and the postman's there and the park is right there, and just a different pace of life. So beyond Lyon, we traveled to Spain, we traveled to Germany, but that's really been it. The other trips have just been in the States and seeing kind of the neat things of the States, going to Boston, going to state parks, and plus with a big family, we don't have the funds to, hey guys, we're all going to go to California for a week. That's just the way life is, So we tend to make trips that are for our family or local or, close enough to drive to, kind of a thing. Okay.
And on LinkedIn, I saw you had some like ministries or things you've done in the past. Like, can you elaborate a little bit on those?
Well, yeah, just things that we get involved with as a company and me personally. Using construction as a ministry is a huge thing for me. So my family, my boys, my kids have always been involved in summer mission trips where we go and we use our skills to remodel homes or do repairs on homes for the past 4 or 5 years. And we've done that over the last, 25 years with our children. But right now we go to a ministry called Dayspring up in Fairmont, West Virginia. And we take a team of about 35 people up there, adults and kids, and we repair homes. We build ramps. We put roofs on. We paint houses. They organize it. So we go and we just bring the labor, and then several of the men on the team act as leaders for those different projects. And it's a great way to train our children how to serve, because they're seeing people that need help and we're there to help. And then, hey, I can show you how to use a nail gun. This is how you put a shingle on. So that's super rewarding for me. We led a ministry like that at our church, Westminster Presbyterian in Rock Hill, called Project Sweat, where every summer we have a week of high school mission trip in town where we do the same thing on houses in Rock Hill and organize the kids to do that and to give back to the community. That's been a great experience. And then the mission work, just I think as a believer, my job is to give back. And so we try and do that as a company and then personally and then as a family.
Nice. That's really good. What else would you like to share with the audience about yourself or your company?
Gosh, I don't know, Jerry. I was kind of taken aback by all your questions. I just, I don't know that I've got any summary statements. I'm just thankful for our company, for our, when we have our production meetings, we recognize that all of us have strengths and we all have weaknesses. And as a team, we're supposed to use those to complement each other and fit well together. And I think that's just a good life lesson, that we've got to acknowledge our weaknesses and then edify the strengths in other people and find those people that you can kind of lock arms with and work together and understand that you're going to do it imperfectly. I love that we've had a company for 15 years, and I pray there'll be another 15 years and beyond. I pray that Jesse and the boys or whoever's in it takes it on from there. And I'm thankful. I'm thankful for what the Lord's done and what he will do. So
Awesome.
I guess that'd be the best way to end it.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story, sharing a little bit about your company. And, next time maybe I'll kind of tailor the questions to something specific if you ever want to do this again.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love that you do it. Thank you for inviting me. I'm thrilled that this is a part of your company and your vision. And thanks for giving me the honor to talk to you.
Yeah, thank you.